Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. We're going to give this one more minute to let a few more people flow in, and then we'll get started. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. My name's Allie. I am the Director of Marketing over here at the Core Group. Just a little housekeeping to get started. If you do have any questions as Rob is going through the presentation, you can write them in your question box, and I will make sure that we get to them at the end. We will be pretty quick today, and without further ado, Rob, you will take it away.
Thank you, Allie. I welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Today's call is going to be relatively quick, but the topic, it's a very important topic in my mind. I think it's something that we have so much going on, the squids on our face with COVID, and now with the protests and all the turmoil that's going on in our country. From a planning perspective, for us to show leadership, we need to proactively reach out to the clients that this presentation is appropriate for and is going to affect, and bring this topic to their attention. This is coming one way or another. It's a question of when, not if, and I want to paint the picture as to why I think that it's an urgent topic that we need to be talking to people now, as in now, because even if we get a client to buy in to what we're saying and understand what we're saying, and they're like, yes, this is something that concerns me, it's something I want to do about, and they do that next week. The process to do this type of planning takes weeks and months. From the legal perspectives of the planning process, the discovery process, the case design process, and ultimately, Core Group, we distribute life insurance. While life insurance happens to be one of the most effective solutions in the planning arena we're going to talk about, the underwriting process takes time. So we're going to start the presentation. Again, the sense of urgency, I think, can't be overstated right now, just because of the fact that so few people are paying attention to what's going on. So, in the Tax Act of 2017, they basically doubled estate, gift, and generation skipping tax exemptions. They went from 5.6 million to 11.2 million. They are indexed. I think it's $1,585,000 right now. They are indexed for inflation. So if people can exempt, a married couple can exempt up to $22.4 million and avoid estate tax. It is the biggest wealth transfer opportunity window that we've had since estate taxes have been put in place. I mean, there was a brief period in 2010 where there were no estate taxes, but that was a fleeting moment. And then the amount of estate over that threshold is going to be taxed at 40%, which is actually a historically low number as well, the excess tax rate. It is very important to know that as the current law is written, it expires 12/31/2025. It can expire sooner. This was passed by an act of Congress and signed into law by the President. It's only Congress turns over every 2 years in the House, and 1/3 of the Senate turns over every 2 years as well. And we have a presidential election coming up in 5 months. So this act is only as good as the next Congress and the next administration. It can be repealed, it can be altered, it can be changed retroactively, and there's a real possibility come November of 2020, there may be a change of administration, there may be a change in of the structure in Congress, and there may be an opportunity for this law to be repealed long before 2025. After 2025, if nothing is done, it will revert to the $5.5 million, $11.2 million limit. Still substantial amounts of limitations, and still is not going to affect more than 1% of the population. But just because someone isn't at these thresholds now, if you got someone that's in their 40s or 50s or 60s that has a high net worth that might be under these thresholds, you've got to plan on growth. Ideally, we're going to plan on growth, their estate growing, and their financial situation being positive because they're working with us as financial advisors, that they may grow into that threshold. I'm going to show in the next slide of the fiscal situation. But bottom line is, it is the largest opportunity for any person alive today to transfer wealth to the next generations. If you've got clients who they have enough, they got more than enough to meet their lifestyle needs, and they've got an excess, there's no better time today than planning on what to do with that excess, to position it outside of the estate, maximize its growth for the future generations, and just generally get solid planning in place. Unprecedented opportunity. But as I said at the beginning of this call, now is the time to plan. Because I don't know what's going to happen come November. But I know that one of the outcomes is probably going to result in this opportunity going away much sooner than anybody anticipates. So let's take a look at the current fiscal situation. So the aggregate debt of the United States is nearly 106% of GDP at $22.5 trillion. Now, some people will equivocate and say it's actually 99%. Some people will equivocate and say, well, actually, it's already at 120%. But from reliable sources, it's at least 106%. We have the fourth highest debt to GDP ratio in the G20 after Japan, Italy, and Singapore. Our budget deficit for 2020 is going to be 18.7% of GDP, $3.8 trillion. Like, we weren't even running those types of deficits on a GDP debt during World War II. The deficit for 2021 is estimated to be $2.1 trillion, and then we're supposed to run $1.3 trillion deficits through 2025. We have already passed and are implementing $2.4 trillion in COVID stimulus so far. They're in negotiations for a third round of stimulus. And they're, again, the illion that they're talking about is trillion as far as the third round too. So these numbers are after the COVID, the 2.4 trillion, but 18.7% of GDP. It makes all the squawking about the $750 billion during the financial crisis just seem, like really were people that upset about? I mean, it spurred in an entire Tea Party and a complete revolution in Congress and all types of fiscal responsibility. Man, where has any of that gone? My point for me, the Tax Act itself, when it was passed, was going to add $1.9 to $2.3 trillion to our national debt over the already projected $9.8 trillion that was cooked into the books. So we were looking at, over the next 10 years, starting in 2019, $11 trillion in additional debt before the previous four lines that I just told you about. And just to keep the good news coming, it's estimated that over the next 75 years, the unfunded liability for Social Security exceeds $14 trillion, and for Medicare and Medicaid, $36.8 trillion. So why do I bring up all these wonderful numbers? Well, let me just ask a simple question. Where do you think taxes are going from here? We're already at historic low effective tax rates. You go back 100 years and we're at historic low tax rates already. So what are the odds of another tax cut? I mean, even Republicans in Congress are starting to find and blush a little bit when talking about another round of tax cuts. I don't think that a tax cut is in the mix. I don't think it's politically tenable for either party, any party. any type of tax cut. So then the question is, will taxes go up? I don't know. Let's look at some scenarios. If Donald Trump wins, okay, we've got at least 2024, and maybe we make it to 2025 with the current law. But again, it's grandfathered. But given the current troubling fiscal crisis that has been aggravated by the COVID stimulus, what are the odds of the current levels of taxation, income, and estate tax being politically tenable? I don't know. I mean, there's a whole lot of fantastic banter going on right now in the public space, but I don't know if anyone come 2025 and we're staring down debt to GDP ratios that are now first, second, or third in the world. I don't know. Can anyone say, hey, yep, let's spend some more money? And if Joe Biden wins, one of his platforms is, first off, he's going to repeal all of the tax cuts. This is a day one for him. He's like, day one, I'm repealing the Tax and Jobs Act of 2017, day one. Well, he doesn't have the authority to repeal it day one, but it will probably be in his first 100-day agenda, because it's going to be a symbolic for the Democratic base. This tax act and the repeal of this tax act is going to be a very symbolic. It's going to be something they can do. Now, that assumes that the Democrats take the Senate. I mean, and I've been hearing rumblings that for the first time, they're starting to think the Senate's in play going into this. The House, the Democrats will probably retain the House. Now the question is, how bad will down ticket be hurt? I'm in Arizona. We are traditionally a conservative state, but we have one Democratic senator already, and the front runner for the open seat is Mark Kelly, astronaut, decorated Navy pilot, Gabby Gifford's husband, and she was our congresswoman that was shot. He's in the lead, and he's a Democrat. So Arizona could have actually two Democratic senators, and there's other states that are leaning that way right now. So why, again, Biden wants to double the capital gains. He wants to eliminate the differentiation between cap gains and ordinary income. So he wants anyone making over $1 million a year to pay 39.6% on capital gains. He wants to revert the estate tax back to $3.5 million, not $5 million, $3.5 million, and have a graduated estate tax of 45 to 55%. And he wants to eliminate the step up in basis at death. That's as far away from where we are today as you can get. That's taken us back to pre-2010 levels and then some, with the effects of state. The no step up in basis alone, that is a huge loss. And quite frankly, who's that going to hurt? That's going to hurt the 99% of people who aren't subject to estate taxes. Now they'll be subject to a death tax because they will no longer get a step up in basis. It's a stealth tax increase on 99% of the people. So I'm just saying this is a possibility. Why, again, I'm trying to paint why I feel this is an urgent topic. So what are the odds? So, a couple of weeks ago, a very prominent bond trader on Wall Street and an economics professor who from Wharton School of Business, University of Pennsylvania, both within a day of each other, they called the top of the bond bull market. They said the bond bull market is officially over. So I'm like, well, that's great. I've been saying that for 10 years. So as far as what are the odds, I haven't a clue. I dropped my teacup in the wishing well and I haven't seen the future since. What I do know is what the law is now. So at least through January 2021, we've got a window to open. I believe we have an opportunity to install a sense of urgency for people to start planning now. You may not have a $22 million estate, but what about a $3.5 million estate? And even if you don't have a $3.5 million estate, what if you have retirement funds that you would like to benefit your family for generations to come? What if you just have more than enough? Well, that's the thing. People get stuck on where the thresholds are for estate planning. But there's parts of estate planning that everyone should do. Irrevocable living trust, medical powers of attorney, durable powers of attorney, a living will, documenting where all of their assets are. You know, the family love letter, one of our previous presentations, it's about helping people get their affairs in order for when the inevitable happens. So, but the other thing is we, you know, there's many people who they have more than enough to meet their lifestyle, and we can demonstrate that through thorough analysis, cash flow analysis, modeling and projecting using conservative assumptions, and demonstrate for your clients that they have more than enough. And if they do, does more matter to them? Does leaving more to those they care about matter to them? If it does, then they need to be talking about this kind of planning. But for our high net worth and ultra high net worth clients, this window could be closing. And, you know, and again, plug for life insurance. In this type of planning where you're trying to transition multi-generational assets outside of the estate, providing asset protection, and providing maximum leverage on a guaranteed basis, life insurance is a powerful tool. It's a private transaction, even if you leave it in the estate. So the client says, well, you know what, I'm just going to buy a bunch of 30-year bonds at 1.2%, and that's what I'm going to leave my inheritance to. And listen, I have a client that was their estate plan. They just bought 30-year treasuries and said, I'll leave those to my heirs. 30-year treasuries paying 1.6. What if we took a small percent of that money they're going to buy 30-year treasuries with, and we buy life insurance? The IRR on the life insurance going out 30 years, assuming just standard risk, and even in some rated cases, the IRR is going to far exceed, on a guaranteed basis, the IRR on a 30-year treasury with similar guaranteed outcomes. Granted, treasuries are guaranteed by the United States, but see the aforementioned slides about fiscal situation. And then you got the financial position of the insurance companies. But again, guaranteed returns, IRRs, multiples at this point, where we are right now, multiples of what you can get buying bonds from the government. Even buying bonds from high risk, high yield bonds, or even blue chip corporate debt. You know, and stocks are volatile. And the other thing about buying bond, the 30-year bond right now, is you will be, if you believe that we've hit the bull market in bonds, you will be locked into a 1.6% return, because if interest rates double on 30-year to say 3.2, you got to hold those bonds to maturity, because if you liquidate them, you're going to take a 50% haircut on the value of those bonds. It's just that simple. So, you know, people say about liquidity of life insurance, you're not going to have a lot of liquidity in a 30-year bond if you buy them now at 1.26. So when should you start talking to your clients about it? Well, yesterday is better than today, and today is better than tomorrow. I do believe that we have a tremendous sense of urgency here, and we need to start talking to our clients about it. I know for a fact right now, 2025, this all goes away. Okay, so that's what, 4.5 years from now. Something to talk about to your clients. So what does it all mean? I don't know. But if you're betting your family's future on tax policy, which way would you hedge? And it's the same question to ask our clients. You know, I don't have a lot in common with Susie Orman. I mean, she speaks some great common sense stuff. She's telling her clients now, do not buy a traditional 401k, do not fund a traditional IRA, only fund Roth 401k, only fund Roth IRAs. Why? Because she's like, taxes aren't getting any lower. Doesn't matter what tax bracket you're in the future, taxes, you know, she thinks taxes have got to go up. So if you believe taxes are going to be higher when you retire than they are today, you're better off funding a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k. Same thing with these estate gift and transfer taxes, generation skipping taxes. Now's the time to do it. And again, we're not saying they have to do all. Maybe they take a portion and say, let's do some hedging, because if they do this planning, and let's just say estate taxes go away, what harm have you done? The IRRs, the cash-on-cash IRRs of this planning alone, in and of itself, taxes, no taxes, in the estate, out of the estate, is still better than they're going to get in similar guaranteed instruments today, just on a pure investment return perspective. So it's not like, okay, if we do this and the coin flips the other way, that the client's going to be in a really bad position. They're not. They're going to still be in a better position having done this planning, regardless of what. And that's the beauty of it too. You have someone that's 50 or 60 years old, and they get this stuff done outside of the estate. How many times do you think taxes are going to change over the next 30 years? No matter what I think, what the fiscal situation is, they're going to change. And if you have this planning done outside of the estate today, it doesn't matter what future taxes are. And again, taxes go to zero. Let's go to the extreme. Your clients will still be better off having done this planning. Again, the TCJA expires 12/31/2025. And just so you know, I know that, everyone was still social distancing, the economy slowly opening up. We've got all types of e-platforms. You can do this type of meeting and planning with your clients over the phone. We're available to help with your high net worth and ultra high net worth clients that, you need some technical. Hey, I have one relationship that he keeps introducing me as his back room. I'm like, wow, I've been doing this for 30 years and I have earned the title of back room. But we can do all of your licensing and contracting all online. We can do drop tickets, IGOs, e-applications. We do have no exam, no fluid, no PS underwriting for up to $3 million face amounts on multiple carriers now. One of our new one of our carriers, Symetra, just announced that they're adding it. We have multiple carriers up to $3 million now. Jet issue, quick turnaround times, electronic premium payment options, e-policy delivery. It's possible to do this without you or your client touching a pen to paper. So everything from submission to commission, we can work out all electronically and keep everybody safe and still do the right thing with our clients. And again, all of this can be discussed over the phone with your client. I just want to point out, I had a little bit of a snafu on our Tuesday call. If any of you were signed up for that, I apologize. Somehow when we scheduled it, the time zone differential got all messed up. It was on some people's calendar at 1 o'clock Eastern and some people's calendar 4 o'clock Eastern, and so we decided to reschedule that for next Thursday, June 11th, from 1 to 1:30 Eastern time. And then again, I want to point out, from an asset-based long-term care planning, there is a 4-hour university being put on by One America, and One America does top-notch training, and it's applicable to the general concept of asset-based long-term care planning. Okay, like, yes, their products are phenomenal. Yes, they provide great planning, but a lot of the content of this training is about how to talk to your clients, what's the language, just the broad-based stuff that's not product-specific. So if any of those interest you, please go ahead and sign up. Registration links are available on our website. And I will open up to questions. We are at the 23-minute mark, so I appreciate everybody's time. Allie, if anyone's got any questions?
I'm not seeing any that have popped through right now, so we thank you so much. But please do, if you do have a question that comes up as you're thinking this through, email us, let us know. The webinar will also be available as a recording on our website, and that link will be sent out to you. So if there's anyone in your firm that you want to share it with, you can feel free to do that. But thank you so much for doing that for us today, Rob, and hopefully we'll see some of you on the webinars next week.
Thank you, Allie, and thank you for your time, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.